Hello student. So let's start the next sensory organ, that is the ear. So in Ayurveda, ear it is called the karna, and ear it is the organ of hearing and also plays the important role in the equilibrium of the body, means that is the balancing of the body. So the ear it should be divided into the three parts, that is the external ear, middle ear and the internal ear. So let's start the detail of the ear. So this is the ear, and ear it should be divided into the three part, the external ear, middle ear and the internal ear. So external ear it includes that the ear pinna, then external acoustic meatus or external auditory meatus, and this is the tympanic membrane. Then this is the middle ear. So middle ear togetherly it consists of, that is the eustachian tube, or that is called the pharyngotympanic tube, then adytus, antrum, and that is the three bones, that is the malleus, incus and the steps. And this is the internal ear. So internal ear it consists of the bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. So let's see the details of first the external ear, then middle ear and then internal ear. Then let's see, that is the ear pinna or the auricle. So auricle, the entire auricle or the ear pinna, except that is this is the lobule and the outer part of the external acoustic meatus. So they are made from the yellow elastic cartilage which is covered by the skin. Then there are various depressions and the elevations that are seen on the auricle of the ear. So the upper fold of that is the cartilage, so this one, so it is called the helix. Then the medial side of that the helix which goes inward part, so it is called the crus of the helix. Then the bottom of the crus of helix, there is a part, this one it is called the conchae. Then below to that the helix there is presence that the small depressive fossa, so it is called the scaphoid fossa. Then the triangular part where which is present at the root of the external auditory meatus, so that is called the tragus. And the inferior fleshy part which consists of the fibrofatty tissue, so that is called the lobule. Then the clinical importance of this external auditory meatus, that is the cartilage from that is the conchae and the tragus, so that is used for the reconstructive surgery of the nose, and the fat which is present into the lobule, so that is also used for the surgery of the depressed nose, so that is the fat. Then next to it, that is the external auditory meatus. So before the external auditory meatus, we should have to see, that is the blood supply of the auricle. So it is supplied by the posterior auricular and superficial temporal arteries. The lymphatics drain into the preauricular and the superficial cervical lymph nodes. So here you can see preauricular lymph nodes and the posterior auricular lymph nodes. Then the nerve supply to that the auricle, that is the upper 2/3 of the lateral surface of the auricle, that is supplied by auriculotemporal nerve, and the lower 1/3 of the ear or the external ear, it is supplied by the greater auricular nerve. Then let's start the external acoustic meatus. So the next part of the external ear, that is the external auditory meatus or external acoustic meatus. So this one part, so it extends from the bottom of the conchae to the tympanic membrane. So here you can see tympanic membrane and that is the conchae. So from this region to this region, so that is called the external acoustic meatus. It measures about the 24 mm. The meatus it is not straight tube, therefore to see the tympanic membrane, pinna has to be pulled upwards, backwards and the laterally. So here you can see it is not the straight. The meatus it should be divided into the two part, that is first cartilaginous part which is the outer part and the inner part that is the bony. So outer 1/3 part, that is 8 mm of the meatus, that should be covered by the skin, the cartilaginous meatus. So it is the thick and contains the ceruminous and the pilosebaceous gland which secrete that the wax. The hairs are present into this region, that is only the outer part of, that is the external acoustic meatus, and because of this the furuncles that should be present into this part, due to that the staphylococcus infection, that is the hair follicles are seen only in this part, and because of frequently the furuncle should be occurs into that the external part. Then the bony part, so here you can see that is the bone and this is the bony part. So it form near about the 2/3 or the 16 mm of the meatus. The skin lining of the bony meatus, it is very much thin and it is continuous with, that is the tympanic membrane. After then let's see that is the tympanic membrane. Then the blood supply of the external auditory meatus, that is the posterior auricular artery, which is the branch of the external carotid artery. Then second one, the deep auricular artery, which is the branch of the maxillary artery. And the third one, anterior tympanic artery, which is the branch of the first part of the maxillary artery. Then the nerve supply, the roof and the anterior wall, it is supplied by the auriculotemporal nerve, and the floor and the posterior wall are supplied by the auricular branch of the vagus nerve. After then let's see that is the tympanic membrane. This is the tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane, that is called the ear drum, and it forms the partition between the external auditory meatus and the middle ear. The length is near about 9 to 10 mm tall and 8 mm wide, and 0.1 mm thickness of the tympanic membrane. Then it has the two surfaces, that is this is the outer surface and the inner surface. So the outer surface, that is lined by the skin and concave in shape, and the inner surface which is attached with, that is the handle of the malleus, and it is convex in shape. Then it should be divided into the two parts, that is the pars tensa and the pars flaccida. So for this we should have to see the another diagram of the tympanic membrane. So here you can see that is the pars flaccida. So let's see first, that is the pars tensa. So pars tensa, it form the most of the part of the tympanic membrane. The periphery, it is thickened by the fibrocartilaginous ring. So it is called the annulus. So this part, it is called the annulus. The central part, it is tended inwards at the level of the tip of the malleus. So it is called the umbo. So this one. So this is called the umbo. Then the pars flaccida. So this one. The part which is present between, that is the two malleolar fold. So this one, anterior malleolar and the posterior malleolar fold, it is present, so it is called the pars flaccida. Then the tympanic membrane, it is supplied by the tensor tympani muscles, which is inserted to the upper end of the handle of the malleus. And the tympanic membrane, it consists of, or it is made from the three layers, that is the outer cuticular layer, which is made up from the epithelial tissue. Then the middle fibrous layer, which is made by radial, circular and the parabolic layer. And the third layer, it is the inner mucosal layer. And all these veins of the tympanic membrane, they are drain into the jugular vein. Then the nerve supply to that the tympanic membrane, that is the outer surface, it is supplied by the auriculotemporal and the auricular branch of the temporal nerve, and the inner surface, it is supplied by the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve. This is, here you can see, that is the handle of the malleus, which is attached to the posteriorly tympanic membrane. So this is the pars tensa, this one. Blood supply of the tympanic membrane, that is the outer surface of the tympanic membrane, it is supplied by the deep auricular branch of the maxillary artery, and the inner surface it is supplied by the anterior tympanic branch of the maxillary artery. Then the lymphatic drainage, that is the lymphatics passes to the preauricular and the retropharyngeal lymph nodes. Then let's see, that is the middle ear, this one. So middle ear, it is a tympanic cavity which is located into that the petrous part of the temporal bone. In between, that is the external ear and the internal ear. It is very narrow filled with the air, and it consists of, this is the eustachian tube or the pharyngotympanic tube, then the adytus antrum and the mastoid ear cell. So let's see, starts, that is the pharyngotympanic tube or the eustachian tube. So this is the eustachian or the pharyngotympanic tube. So it connects the tympanic ear with that the nasopharynx. The length of that is the eustachian tube, that is near about the 36 mm in length, and its outer 1/3 part, this one, that is the bony, and inner 2/3 part, it is fibrocartilaginous. The two parts, that is the bony part and the cartilaginous part, where it should be meet, it is called the isthmus, and this isthmus, it is the narrowest part of that is the tube. It is wider, shorter and more horizontal in infants, and because of this it should be permitting the infection from the nasal cavity to that the ear, and because of the otitis media frequently occurs into that the children. Then the adytus, it is the opening through which attic communicate with the antrum. So this one, this cavity. So let's see, that is the middle remaining part of the middle ear. So this is the middle ear, and this middle ear communicates with anteriorly, that is the nasopharynx, throughout the pharyngotympanic tube. So here in this diagram you can see anteriorly, that is the pharyngotympanic tube. Then posteriorly it is connected with, that is the mastoid antrum. So here you can see, then that is the mastoid ear cells through the adytus to that the antrum, called the adytus and the antrum. Then the contents of the middle ear. So inside the mucous lining, that is the air should be present. So here, and outside, that is the mucous membrane, that is the three small bones are present, that is the malleus, incus and the stapes. Then the second one, two muscles, that is the tensor tympani and the stapedius muscle. Then the two nerves, that is the chorda tympani and the tympanic plexus, and the vessels supplying and draining the middle ear, and ligaments of the ear ossicles. Then the subdivisions of the middle ear or that the cavity. So the tympanic cavity, it extends much beyond the limits of the tympanic membrane. So that is the tympanic membrane, and posterior to it, that the cavity of the middle ear is present. So it should be divided into the three parts. So first, that is called the epitympanium. So this one, and that is the limiting line. So the epitympanium, that is called the attic, a part above to the tympanic membrane, containing, that is the head of malleus, the body and the short process of that the incus. So that is the short process, and this is the body of incus. Then second, that is the mesotympanium. So this part. So these are the limiting lines. So the mesotympanium, it is the part opposite to that the tympanic membrane. It contains of the handle of malleus, then the long process of the incus and the steps. So it is the narrowest part of the middle ear. And then the hypotympanium. So this one. This is the limiting margin. So it is a part below to that the tympanic membrane. Then the boundaries, the middle ear, it is linked to six-sided box and thus it presents the six walls. So first that is the roof. So this is the roof, then this is the floor, then this is the anterior wall and this is the posterior wall. Then the medial wall, this one, and this is the lateral wall. So let's see that is the contents present into this wall. Then let's see that is the lateral wall. Out of the six wall, first see that is the lateral wall. So it is formed by the eardrum here and the bone above, below and behind to that the eardrum, means that is the malleus. So this one. Then the medial wall, so this one, this side. So it is formed by the labyrinth and the cochlea, that is the means the internal ear. Then the roof, so here upper part, so it is formed by the thin plate of the bone that is called the tegment tympani. Then let's see that is the floor. So for this we should have to see the another diagram. So here you can see that is the floor. So the floor which is separate from the tympanic cavity from the jugular bulb. Then the anterior wall, so this one. So anterior wall has a thin plate of the bone which separate the cavity from the internal carotid artery. So here you can see that is the internal carotid artery. And the posterior wall, that is close to the mastoid ear cells and containing the facial nerve. Superiorly, this is the opening called the iditus, through which, that is the epitympanic recess, communicates with the mastoid or the tympanic antrum. So these are the six-sided box of the middle ear. So the posterior wall of the middle ear, that is very much confusing. This is the cavity or the six-sided box of the middle ear, and posterior wall, this one, this cavity to posterior it. So that is the posterior wall. So here in this diagram you can see that is total posterior part of the middle ear. So the posterior wall, it presents these features. That is, superiorly there is the opening or iditus. So here, through which, that is the epitympanic recess, communicates with the mastoid or the tympanic antrum. So this one. Then the fossa includes a depression which lodges the short process of the incus. So in this region. Then the conical projection, that is called the pyramid. It lies near the junction of the posterior and the medial wall. So here in this region. It is and the opening at it affects the passage of the tendon of the stapedius muscle. Then lateral to that the pyramid. So here the lateral to that the pyramid and near to the posterior edge of the tympanic membrane. So here the posterior edge of the tympanic membrane. It is a posterior canaliculus for the chorda tympani, through which the nerve enters the middle ear cavity, and posterior to it there is, that is the mastoid ear cells are present. So it is seen like the honeycomb like structure where, that is the air should be present. So that is the posterior wall. Then the arterial supply of the middle ear. So the mastoid antrum, so this one. So it is the large air containing space in the upper part of the mastoid process. It communicates anteriorly with the tympanic cavity through the iditus ad antrum. its roof it is formed by the tegment antry, which is the backward continuation of the tegment tympani. Then the floor of the antrum, it should be receives the opening of the mastoid air cells. This one. Then the ear ossicles, or called the ear bone. So there are the three ossicles are present into that the middle ear, that is the malleus, incus, and this is the steps. So these are the smallest bone in the human body. So first let's see, that is the malleus. So malleus has the head, neck, that is called the manubrium, and the lateral and the anterior process. So here you can see that is the lateral process and this is the anterior process. Then the head and the neck of the malleus. So this is the head and the neck of the malleus lie in the attic. The manubrium, it is embedded. So this is called the manubrium or the handle. So it is embedded in the fibrous layer of the tympanic membrane. Then the lateral process forms the knob-like structure on the outer surface of the tympanic membrane, and it gives attachment to the anterior and the posterior malleolar fold. Then the incus. So this one, the incus, it has the body and the short process and the long process, both of which, that is the body and the short process, that should be located into that the attic, and that is the body have the concave part here, and it should be joined or fixed with the head of the malleus to form the incudo-malleolar joint. Then the long process of, that is the incus, it is joins with the head of the steps to form the incudo-stapedial joint. So this one. Then the last bone, that is the steps, this one. So it has the head, then that is the neck, then anterior and the posterior crus. So that is the anterior crus and the posterior crus, and the foot plate. This foot plate, it is held in the oval window by the annular ligament. So it is related with that the labyrinth, that is the basal coil of the cochlea, where it should be attached. Okay? Because of the moment of, that is vibration of the tympanic membrane of the middle ear, where that is it should be vibrate, that is the malleus, incus, and the steps, and because of the steps it should be vibrate, that is the internal ear, and because of that is the sound waves, it should be reaches throughout the vestibulocochlear nerve into that the auditory area of the cerebral cortex, and the hearing sound, it should be nose into this area. So that is the ear ossicles. Then the arterial supply to that the middle ear, that is the anterior tympanic branch of the maxillary artery, then the stylomastoid branch of the posterior auricular artery, then the third petrosal branch of middle meningeal artery, then the superior tympanic branch of the meningeal artery, and the branches from the pterygoid canal and the tympanic branch of the internal carotid artery. Then the venous drainage, that is the veins drains from the middle ear into the pterygoid venous plexus and superior petrosal sinus. Then the lymphatic drainage, that is from the retropharyngeal lymph nodes, the parotid lymph nodes, and the upper deep cervical lymph nodes. Then the nerve supply to that the middle ear, that is the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve. Then the second is the superior and inferior carotico-tympanic nerve. Then the third is the facial nerve, and the fourth is, that is the mandibular nerve. So these are the nerve supply to that the middle ear. Then let's see, that is the internal ear.